Hi, thank you for joining me. This is Dr. Stewart. This is a home Bible study on the book of Matthew. And so far we've tackled chapter 1 of Matthew, maybe a little bit of an introduction to Matthew and the role it places with the Old Testament. And then also we've been studying into chapter 2, the birth of Christ, verses 1 through 10. The wise men have just left Jerusalem. They're asked by Herod to go find the young child and bring him word again. Of course, we know that he only wants to do harm to the little baby, to the child, excuse me. We also saw that this time when the wise men came, Jesus might have been 1 or 2 years old, and it says that Mary and Joseph were in the house, not a cave. So they weren't in a crude environment, but they were in a regular house at this point. So again, I see some time lapse there. And it says here, verse 11, chapter 2 of Matthew, "And when they were come into the house, they saw the young child," so he's not a baby now, he's a young child, "with Mary his mother, and fell down and worshipped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented unto him gifts." And here are the three type of gifts: gold, a lot of value in gold; frankincense. Frankincense is very ornamental, kind of a essential oil. Frankincense could also be used medicinally, so perhaps at that point every traveler had some kind of frankincense, because you always had chapped skin, you had cuts and bruises. If you fell and had some kind of a scrape, that would be good. But also there was another spice here called myrrh, given to Mary and Joseph. And then verse 12 tells us, "And being warned of God in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed into their own country another way." Now, Bethlehem is about 6 miles south of Jerusalem, so when they slept that night, probably right there at that same house, they were warned of God in a dream they should go home another direction and not go through Jerusalem to tell Herod of the information that they saw and what they saw in Bethlehem. I would speculate they headed further south, went around the Dead Sea, and then also went back home that direction. We've been to Israel. We've been down as far south as the southern part of the Dead Sea. It's very rocky and rugged, very desolate. But these were wise men. They had provisions. They probably had servants that would help them. Many camels with all kind of provisions, food and water. And it says here, verse 13, "And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt, and be thou there until I bring thee word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him." So Joseph did what the angel said. When he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night and departed into Egypt. So God is working through Mary, but also God is working through Joseph. Let's don't forget, Joseph, although he was not the natural father of Jesus, was very much responsible for his earthly upbringing. He had to take all the responsibility of a normal, natural father. And you know what? Since that's true, God spoke to Joseph at this point and not to Mary. But they had plenty of provisions themselves. They had the gold to use for travel expenses, the frankincense, the myrrh, those could be traded off for more income. Joseph was a carpenter by trade, so in Egypt he could have enough money to locate and buy tools, perhaps set up a carpenter shop until he was told to go back to Nazareth again, that we'll see in a moment. "And he was there in Egypt," verse 15, "until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying, Out of Egypt have I called my son." And then we have the account of verse 16 where Herod finds out what happens. You know, people, leaders of this world, can be very cruel. Give them enough power, give them enough resources, and just like you know of many past rulers that have been very cruel to their own people, so is Herod. Verse 16, Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceeding wroth. He was mad, he was upset. No doubt he stomped and threw things and was just teed off quite a bit. "And he sent forth and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem and in all the coast thereof, from 2 years old and under." So at this point, he would have speculated Jesus was at least a year and a half to 2 years old, so he sent a small a small army, down to Bethlehem. In that whole coastal area, killed all the babies 2 years and under, all the children. That area was not very populated at this point, so I read somewhere that it might have been 20 to 25 children, which even one is too much. I know that, you know that, but just as a way of looking at it, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men. Then was fulfilled that which was spoken by Jeremiah the prophet, saying, and this is Jeremiah 31 verse 15, in Ramah there was a voice heard, lamentation and weeping and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children, and would not be comforted because they were not. Or in other words, they were not alive. And then the Bible tells us, Herod, when he was dead, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream in Egypt, saying, arise, take the young child and his mother, go to the land of Israel, go back home, for they are dead which sought the young child's life. So verse 21 teaches, and he arose and took the young child and his mother, came to the land of Israel. But when he had heard that Archelaus reigned in Judea in the room, or instead of his father Herod, in placement, he was afraid to go thither, notwithstanding being warned of God in a dream. He turned aside into the different parts of Galilee. So he headed to the northern part of Israel, up toward Galilee. We've been there before. That's a beautiful, fertile area. That's the kind of area I would want to raise my family in, around a sea like the Sea of Galilee. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And he came and dwelt in the city called Nazareth, which is about 25 miles west of the Sea of Galilee. That whole area was called the Galilee area, but of the sea directly about 25 miles west. So he went and dwelt in a city called Nazareth, that it might be fulfilled, which is spoken by the prophets, Jesus shall be called a Nazarene. And so that's why he's a Nazarene, because he came from the Nazareth area. So that's all of chapter 2. We're exploring through Matthew, a great, fantastic book, and thank you for joining me, Dr. Stewart, with this home Bible study on the book of Matthew. Join us again and invite your friends to join us as well. Thank you. Bye.